Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers are coming to the big screen on a small screen. It's a reboot. Well, more of a remake. But it is a movie. And we're going to talk about it today in my review of Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, the movie. Hello, friends. Welcome back to the show. So glad to see you all once again. And if you're new here, thanks for stopping by. And this is the show where we go back and look at cartoons and shows that we grew up on in the 80s and 90s. But today, we're doing something a little different in that we are looking at a movie based on a property, based on a show that we watched in the 80s and 90s. And that's Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. This movie just came out a couple of weeks ago. It's on Disney Plus. I got a chance to sit down and watch it. It's a fun watch, but there's things that I think really worked well with it and things that didn't quite work well with it. In general, I have some mixed feelings about it, but we're going to unpack that in today's review of Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers.
It wasn't anyone's fault in particular, just one of those showbiz things.
My memory of Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers is very similar to that of DuckTales. DuckTales! Woo! I grew up, I was in that perfect age range, 8, 12 years old, watching the Disney afternoon shows. I'd come home from school, I'd pop these on, watch these on Saturday mornings, and I loved them. DuckTales and Tailspin and Darkwing Duck, Chip and Dale, Gummy Bears a little earlier. I mean, I loved them all. We were subscribers to the Disney Adventures magazine that told all the stories. Loved it. And some of those shows I've gone back and rewatched, Chip and Dale and Darkwing Duck in particular, as research of potentially reviewing them here on this channel.
Say it with me. We want Darkwing!
Was surprised to find that it wasn't what I remember. And I'm probably going to sound a little foolish in saying this, and that is, I didn't really know it was a comedy. I thought of these shows as more of great action adventure, more akin to Batman the Animated Series. Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, under the guise of this kind of superhero squad with gadgets and going on adventures and righting wrongs and, answering the call and all those kind of things, was really just kind of a workplace sitcom.
Are you sure you don't want to see my new pad?
Oh, pad! Frog-based humor. No thanks.
That's just a taste of what you get from me outside the work environment.
Those adventures that they went on were just the setup for Dale to do something silly and ruin things for them, and Monterey Jack to
Hang on, Monty!
Zipper to be the only one that has it together, but nobody understands what he's saying. It's just all of those kind of sitcom characters. And that's not how I remember the show. And the same with Darkwing Duck. I remember those shows and was much more interested and much more tuned into the action adventure. I think when I went back and watched it, I was expecting to see more of G.I. Joe and Centurions and Mask and those shows that were action adventure with a little bit of comedy in there. So I have very mixed feelings about Chip and Dale, that it is not what I remember, and I wanted it to be something else, and I'm trying to embrace it now for what it is.
No one ever imagined it could all come crashing down.
Some people were very excited about the trailer. I saw some different trailer reactions, and they were really into it. Me, not so much. I kind of went, oh, okay, it's another one of those. It's going to be a kind of a parody, kind of a different sort of take. All that said, I did go watch it. The first weekend it came out, like I said, there's some things that really worked well with it and some things that didn't. I think overall, in a nutshell, Chip and Dale, Chipmunk.
That's hilarious. What are you talking about?
It didn't take itself seriously. Much to my chagrin, it was a great representation of what the show really was. It was a comedy wrapped around a mystery, sort of. The comedy in it is pretty good in the movie. And the mystery is mediocre. The thing that most people are talking about is all the nostalgic cameos and all these different characters that pop in and out and the references. And that's very fun to see. And it feels a little bit like that was the focus. They wanted to do this who's who of cameos and kind of do their version of Ready Player One or some of those types of movies. Now I'm gonna dive a little bit deeper into the movie. So this will contain some spoilers. So this is your fair warning. If you have not seen the movie yet, go watch the movie, pause this, save it in your watch later, come back and watch the rest of this video after you've seen the movie. One of the things about the cameos that I did enjoy was There was some pretty wild ones. There was, Ugly Sonic's one that we're talking about. Ones like Batman, which was wild and surprising, just as much to me as anybody else, that going, here's a Warner Brothers property and one of their direct competitors, Disney, and I don't know what that contract looked like. I didn't know what they could do, couldn't do, but very wild, very surprising, but apropos for this channel. Some of the cameos seem very forced or very underutilized, that there's characters that are just in the background. I go, what's the point? Nerd-stalgic stuff, and they kind of ride on that. Again, I have sort of mixed feelings because I would see these cameos and I had the same reaction of go, oh, well, that's cool. That's the guy from that, and they're there. But with that, I do like that they don't take themselves seriously, as they really embrace this kind of world. The general plot of the movie is that these two actors were part of a show, Rescue Rangers, and now one's kind of a washed up actor and doing the convention circuit, another one's traded in and is doing insurance salesman.
It's my job to pull the wool off your eyes.
One of the other stars of the show, Monterey Jack, has come up missing, and they have this whole bootleg story that's going on that they're erasing characters and changing them. It's just quirky enough to work. And it's kind of wild. I would have rather them go one direction or the other. It's like the characters are actors on the show, but they sort of are the characters from the show and sort of not the characters. We've got Chip and Dale that kind of went their own direction, and they're like actors and created these characters, even doing voices differently on the show, which is how they justify John Mulaney and Andy Samberg doing the voices. Then Monterey Jack still is obsessed with cheese.
I'm sorry, Chipper. I just love it so much.
Gadget's still making gadgets. Peter Pan, the big mob boss Peter Pan, still dresses like Peter Pan and is Peter Pan, but was an actor on the show. So that gets a little confusing. It's like either make them actors or make them actually be these characters. Along those lines, something that didn't really work well for me, I hate to say it, was some of the voice acting.
Chip and Dale, Rescue Rangers.
Chip in particular, voiced by John Mulaney. I like John Mulaney. I like his comedy. I don't know if it worked him as a voice actor, him playing this character, because John Mulaney sort of is a character. When you see a stand-up, he's playing that kind of character that, hey, everybody, that was a terrible John Mulaney impression, but he just sort of plays that. You see him on talk shows. That's a character, right? So it's like you take that character and you put it into this other character, and sort of a weird mix match. This has been successful before. You've got Larry the Cable Guy voicing Mater. Larry the Cable Guy is a character. Gilbert Gottfried playing Iago, or Bobcat Goldthwait, for those of you that remember him from the Police Academy movies. He is a character. That's not really how he talks.
What are you, a nut? I'm a vegetarian!
John Mulaney is like sort of a heightened version of himself, I imagine. I would love to sit down and have a drink with John Mulaney and see how he really is.
And really, I can be a little cold to people, or I can be a little condescending.
Andy Samberg, on the other hand, I thought did good. I thought him as Dale, that sort of made sense.
The Rescue Rangers are back.
I don't understand why they had Monterey Jack spoke by Eric Bana. Because also in this movie, Jim Cummings is doing the voice of Fat Cat, who he spoke for on the show. He also voiced Monterey Jack for part of the run of the show. So that seemed weird. Why wouldn't you have Jim Cummings play Monterey Jack? Whereas Tress McNally is playing Gadget, who she voiced on the show. So me as a nostalgic person is going, oh, cool. Oh, they got them back. Jim Cummings, what? I don't know why the disconnect. I don't know why they did that. And it's like any other parody or any other kind of all comedy show, is that they had to manipulate some of the details of the story to make it work for the comedy. The whole bit where they were inside of the machine that kind of reanimates them, and them kind of doing this, all jumping through there to avoid it. And it was a pointless scene, but it was just done for the comedy of it. So that's why I say I just have very mixed feelings. There's some things that it was kind of an interesting take, you know, kind of this world where animated characters live with real people, kind of a Roger Rabbit thing. As they also infused claymation and puppets, even a sock puppet at one point. It wasn't just like these characters existed in the real world. It was like, oh, they actually are drawn and can be erased and can be redone, or the police or detective that cuts a slice out of his hand to be a fingerprint. All of that was kind of clever, very well done. It wasn't just like Roger Rabbit where it's like, oh, there's real people and there's tunes. It was just sort of all fused together in this weird harmony. If you went into there wanting to see a reboot or wanting to see the gang back together, wanting to see another adventure, you're not going to get it.
No one's talking about a Rescue Rangers reboot except for him.
What? The fans are hungry for it.
You really only see the team together, Gadget and Zipper in it, basically at the very end. To argue with myself, it does go along with what the story is about. It's about them not being a part of the show anymore and now trying to find their way in the world. I would have liked to see, if they are going the actor route, oh, these actors are in the show and part of that, and that's not their identity, dig more into the emotion involved in that. You know, I think back to The Gray Ghost, Batman the Animated Series, which you can see my review of that up here, where it really played into the emotion of what it would be like to be an actor on a successful show and be identified as that character and influence so many people, and it is now not that anymore. But this was just sort of, yeah, we did that show and now let's sort of almost go on another adventure like that, but it's not, and it's not all the same people, but really it's just the groundwork for the comedy. That's just my take. You know, if you wanted me to do a more in-depth review of it and go scene by scene, I'd be happy to do that. Just let me know in the comments. But really, I want to know what you think, you know, especially if you grew up in this time period, what your memories of Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers were versus what this movie was. And was this the movie that you wanted? Or did you want to see something different? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't by now, please click the subscribe button. We have more reviews coming up, as well as a new series that we're going to be reviewing. So stay tuned. That's coming up very shortly. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I'm Andy Canode. I'll see you soon.